So if you're a kindergarten, first or second grade teacher, new this year, in fact, is a new feature of the report card. And I have a rough mock-up of the report card up here in Google Docs. Now, again, mind you, this is a rough mock-up, so don't freak out. It's not going to look anywhere near this crappy in reality, but this is just kind of a mock-up that shows where things are placed. It's the report card that you know and love, right? It's got all the same stuff, the subjects, the standards, but at the top we have a section for standardized assessments, for Fontes and Pinnell, and developmental spelling, assessment, and sight words, etc. And so essentially what I wanted to do is show you what do we do in gradebook to get those assessment marks or those assessment metrics to show up on the report card, right? And so essentially you'll notice, like, let's take Fontes and Pinnell as a for instance. There's a benchmark score. The benchmark is sort of hard-coded into the report, so the benchmark will be the same for every kid. Initially we want it to be it'll be appropriate to whatever grade level we're talking about, kindergarten, first or second, if you're showing Fontes and Pinnell on your report card. And then they'll also have like the level J for more like the spring score, so it obviously should go up. And so how do we where in gradebook do I put their actual level that would then show up under student score, that then mom, dad, parent, guardian can then compare their actual score to the benchmark? So what do I do in gradebook to get a score to show up on the report card? So let's show you how to do that. I'm going to flip over to a gradebook. So you get logged into gradebook. Show your gradebook, your course tabs. Now, Fontes and Pinnell and sight words and such are all language arts metrics, right? And so I'm going to click on my language arts tab. And this is your standard language arts gradebook. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this drop down arrow up here. So right now I'm looking at the assignments. This is also where you would go to see your learning standards. But we're going to tool on over here to district assessment and select district assessment from that drop down menu. Here's where you have your columns for all the different standardized assessments that are going to get represented on the report card. Let's take a look at F&P level, for instance, right? So F&P level it's an instructional book level, so it's going to get represented as a letter. So let's say that this individual student is reading at a D, and then we'll put F, and then G, and so on and so forth for the kids. And what's going to happen is that will be the value that will show up on the report card for that student's instructional book level. Okay, so by me putting it into gradebook in this spot, it will show up on the report in that spot. And so that's the correlation. That's how it works. You'll notice here as I'm putting in the letters that these funky numbers, these fractional numbers are showing up. Ignore those. They're not going to show up on the report. Without geeking out too much, essentially every field that records a grade or a mark in gradebook has a letter and a numeric component. Okay, that's just how it's designed. So there's this numeric component that's getting kicked out that will get completely ignored, that will not show up anywhere. It's just going to pull the letter. So let's take a look at like sight words, for instance, right? And is there a benchmark score for sight words? There are. There should be 25 or higher in the first marking period. So what I can do here is go into the gradebook that this is going to be 30 and 21 and 26. Okay, fine. So these are my sight words. So Ashley would get instructional level D and a 30 for sight words. And so if I were to look at her report card, she would have an instructional level D, and she'd be right on level. And then she would have 30 sight words, which would be 5 beyond the benchmark of 25, and that would show up over here. So that's how you enter things into gradebook, and they're going to show up on the report for these standardized assessments. Hope that makes sense. Take care, be well, and thanks for watching.